Private goods are produced in the market by firms. They're offered for sale and have the characteristics of rivalry and excludability. Private goods are produced through the market because they have rivalry. By definition, that's one's use of a good makes it unavailable for others, and comes in units small enough to be afforded by individual buyers. Private goods are subject to excludability, the idea that those unable and unwilling to pay do not have access to the benefits of the product. Since the goods have rivalry and excludability, private firms can produce and sell the goods for a profit. So rivalry is when one person buys and consumes a product it is not available for another person to buy and consume. And excludability, sellers can keep people who do not pay for a product from obtaining its benefits. Public goods are provided by government, and they're offered for free. The demand curve of public goods may underreport how much consumers are willing and able to pay. Public or social goods would not be produced through the market because they possess the characteristics of non-rivalry and non-excludability. So public goods have the characteristics of non-rivalry, non-excludability, and have the free rider problem. Non-rivalry means that when one consumes the good, this does not preclude another from consuming the good. Non-excludability means that no one can be prevented from enjoying the benefits of a public good. With non-rivalry and non-excludability, public goods suffer from the free rider problem. The free rider problem means that many people can benefit from the goods without paying, making it unprofitable for firms to produce these goods since they have no way to ensure that only paying customers will enjoy the good. As a result, government often provides these goods. Examples of public goods include national defense, public music concerts, and outdoor fireworks displays. The demand for a public good is somewhat unusual. The government tries to estimate the demand for a public good through surveys or public votes. Suppose Adams and Benson are the only two people in society, and their marginal willingness to pay for a public good, national defense in this case, is as shown in the columns of this table. Notice that the schedules in this table are price quantity schedules reflecting demand. To find the demand for a public good, we add the total price each individual is willing to pay for the unit rather than summing the quantities at each price. Shown here is the individual's willingness to pay curves, D1 and D2, for Adams and Benson, the only two people in the economy. So we're plotting their individual demand schedules. The collective demand curve for a public good is found by summing vertically the individual willingness to pay curves D1 and D2 for Adams and Benson. The supply curve of the public good is upward sloping, reflecting rising marginal costs. The optimal amount of the public good is 5 units, determined by the intersection of DC and S. At that output, the marginal benefit, reflected in the collective demand curve DC, equals marginal cost, reflected in the supply curve S. Cost-benefit analysis. As I said earlier, the government tries to estimate the demand for a public good through surveys or public votes. So the government can use a cost-benefit analysis, which is a practical way to decide whether to produce a good and how much to produce. So if we look at the cost, we look at A, the resources diverted from private good production, and B, private goods that will not be produced. We determine the benefit or the extra satisfaction from the output of more public goods, and the government might use this method in determining whether or not to build a new highway. So roads and highways can be privately run, such as toll roads, but that leads to excludability. So the federal highway system is effectively a public good. And the government needs to weigh the opportunity cost involved in developing highways. So this table here gives us 5 options. The table shows the annual total benefit, column 4, exceeds the total annual cost, column 2, for plans A, B, and C, indicating that some highway construction is economically justifiable. We see this directly in column 6, where total costs, which at column 2, are subtracted from the annual benefits, column 4. Net benefits are positive for plans A, B, and C. Plan D is not economically justifiable because net benefits are negative, but the question of optimal size or scope for this project remains. By comparing the marginal cost, the change in total cost, and the marginal benefit, the change in total benefit, we can determine that answer. The guideline is well known to you from previous discussions, i.e. an increase in activity or a project or output as long as the marginal benefit, column 5, exceeds the marginal cost, column 3. Or you stop the activity at or as close as possible to the point at which the marginal benefit equals the marginal cost. Or you do not undertake a project for which marginal cost exceeds marginal benefit. In this case, Plan C, building a new 4-lane highway, is the best plan. Plans A and B are too modest. The marginal benefit exceeds the marginal cost, and there is a better option. Plan D's marginal cost of 10 billion exceeds the marginal benefit 3 billion and therefore cannot be justified. It over-allocates resources to the project. Quasi-public goods could be provided through the market system. Because of positive externalities, however, the government provides them. Quasi-public goods are those that have large positive externalities or spillover benefits, where benefits accrue to some third party external to the market transaction. So the government will sponsor their provision. Otherwise, if they were produced in the private market, they would be underproduced. Examples are education, streets, and museums. So our key point from this presentation is that quasi-public goods could be provided through the market system, but because of positive externalities, our key point, the government provides them. The reallocation process. Government taxes individuals and benefits, takes the money and spends on production of public goods. The government taxes individuals and businesses, which reduces their incomes and reduces demand for private goods, but increases the production of public goods when government spends that tax revenue. So the government uses taxes to reallocate resources from the production of private goods to production of public and quasi-public goods.